My name is Markus Berger. I teach at RISD. I'm a professor in interior architecture. In the last 5 years, I really kind of got much more interested in the broken elements, the wastes, the discarded of society, and started the studio calling it the Repair Atelier, with the idea of atelier being a place where people meet, people hang out, have a good time.
So this is a very collaborative, lively space.
I shared with 3 other artists. We also have music events, dance parties, exhibitions, lectures. So this is a space full of junk, full of pieces. These are chairs that are waiting for me to intervene into them.
They're waiting for you.
Actually, I haven't really asked them. This middle chair there, the seating is made with, it's something from the interior stomach or something like this from animals. And that material has been used when it was soft to weave the seating surface. Now it's hard. I cannot remove it without breaking it. Therefore, the waiting, I do not know how to intervene. Often these chairs, these objects stand here for a couple of years before I know what to do.
That one looks very figurative. I noticed those little paws.
Thing looks like actual knees and shins.
The joints, that's what I was looking at.
Someone told me it came from the UK, someone kind of immigrating a long time ago, 2 generations ago. I still haven't figured out what to do with this chair. I have a hard time keeping most of the details. Some details I absolutely love, but how to intervene in order to not mess with it, yet to mess enough to make it a different narrative.
They're in a waiting room. How do you know when it's their turn?
And this always happens spontaneously. I hardly ever have a long-term plan for something.
It's a reaction.
Very much reactions to our society, to our waste culture, to our culture of abundance, to our culture of purchasing just to be happy.
This was the chair that started it all.
Yeah, so I was still a young architect believing in the perfect replication of good old stuff. This is actually a really famous chair. I found it in a dumpster in New York City and wanted to replace the broken leather. So I transported it from New York to Pakistan because I knew Pakistan had this kind of leather industry. Yet I could never source the perfect leather. This was a highly decorated altar. Everything was in gold. Each breaking line reveals the gold from behind. And if you just follow that space slowly, every crack is actually gold.
It's very gestural. And I almost think about this as the starting point. I don't think that's something we think about when we think about a chair, which has to be solid and sturdy.
If you actually start with the etymology of the word chair, we actually come back to cathedral. There was only one person who had a chair, which was the bishop. Everybody else was in pews and benches. It's a status of power. I beheaded that thing. I don't know, famous chair, Charles Eames. The back was broken. I was told one cannot repair it. It's a research project for every chair. I include elements, upside down, traditional forms, different materials, textures, in order to transform the meaning of the chair.
How do you know what degree of intervention? Because it sounds like there's a certain sweet spot for you.
The more something is mass-produced, the more something represents an ideology, something that looks like a traditional chair, but it's clearly mass-produced.
Yes.
The more I intervene, the more it is handcrafted, the more it has a one-off story, a narrative that kind of relates to a craftsman. So this is another really famous chair. I believe it's the most mass-produced chair. It's again by Markus Berger. The chair for me embodies everything that I find wrong with modernism. It's much more about the simple shape, it's about the concept, than really about body. It's just like architecture, I think furniture also really lost the connection with body.
Right.
So in order to take away these ideas, these ideologies of industrial produced modernism, I brought in body in the sense of old pieces from other chairs. I brought in connections that don't exist. So I really kind of wanted to mess with this minimalistic idea and ideology of modernism.
I think it's quite brave to take something that's so traditionally renowned and say, there is something to be critiqued here. There is something to perhaps to be changed here.
What is closest to human body? Besides apparel, I believe it's furniture, particularly chairs. They snug you sit on them. I always found so many broken chairs, particularly in the infirmaristi semester, on the street. So I started picking up chairs from streets.
How do you build the expertise to build this? Because this is so many materials.
What is there is the dare to experiment with materials that don't believe into furniture. So this is one of the cheapest mass products the industry produced, and they're always offcuts. Construction industry, just by building something new, there's about 20% waste. And this is basically just wood waste, right? It's wood fiber, wood chips, combining really beautiful solid wood with its very gentle curves that it relates with something so banal, normative, an inspiration of combining two things.
Tell me more about these.
I put in an announcement, I think in Craigslist, do you have a broken chair? And someone pointed me to this chair sitting outside for many, many years and was totally structurally kind of broken. As a good carpenter does, you kind of take it apart, the unmaking of things. At some point, I still worked in my basement. I put all the pieces very nicely on a white fabric on the table. And when I arrived the next day into this basement, I saw something which looked like a being. So I call this series Divergent Beings. I actually replaced the missing elements with copper. Is it chair or does it just look like chair? Because right now I do not know.
I thought it looked like Frankenstein's monster.
There's a lot in Frankenstein, but also in every chair I always bring in other elements. Where here I took a lot of energy, a lot of force, a lot of material. This chair, which was given to me, I just adored from the beginning. And it's a very old chair. It's about 120 years old, yet there's an elegance that it could be made contemporary. So it's just a little cast for a broken leg, visibly fixing these corners, but not really messing with the rest of the chair.
What did you use for this?
This is a epoxy clay. It's very strong. It binds. It's a fantastic glue, but it also gets on its own hard. So I see it's a little bit as a visible mending. Visible mending, just like the ceiling. The mending of the ceiling has been done visibly. I show what I fix, but I kind of keep it to the minimum. For me, every piece is also showing society that you don't have to throw things away. There's value in everything. I do try to be economical with material. Epoxy clay is not the most sustainable material, but I use it in the very minimum amount. I actually got from a former student in industrial design, and he told me this is one of the oldest American things. It hasn't changed at all.
I can tell from the illustration.
Yes. You just mix it a little bit with water. You can have it as thick paste, as a thin paste. You can pour it. And this I used as a filler. Glue, I usually use white carpenter glue.
Frog tape? What is this?
That's just a painter's tape. Someone gave the box to me in order to kind of store things inside.
Wait, you don't use the tape?
Someone else used the tape and then you gave me the container for it.
That looks like an antique.
It is antique, but it works really, really well. This is from a flea market. It's partially restored. I have others which are fully restored. I do sand it slightly. I do kind of give it another coat of an oil or so and treat the metal so it can survive. All my work is a celebration of imperfection. This space was obviously intended as my workspace, but I'm such a messy worker that in the end it's just stuff. This is the epoxy.
You can touch it with your hands? Like
one should not touch it, but yes, I do.
Why not?
Because it's not the best thing for your skin, I believe. This is a tool that painters use to strip off old paint. You can use it for stripping off like this, obviously straight surfaces.
So you use it on something that's round?
Yeah, at least it's designed. It doesn't really work.
Where do you go shopping for supplies?
Flea markets, friends. I do buy new things like a drilling machine, a sanding machine. You asked earlier about me and making things. This is actually an old thing from my father, who used to be a craftsman before he figured out he has to earn more money and became a train conductor. He made metal roofs on churches. Piece that I got from him a long time ago and that I'm very much cherished. I don't find many in this geometry. It's very hard to find.
You definitely had your hand in what the space looks like now.
Just like the chairs. It's a church and it's not a church. can never get out churchness, but yet it's certainly not by the standard of how a church looks at it. This church has a really beautiful history as being built as a chapel in 1920s, 1930s. Apparently this picture is from, it became a church for the African American community. When I got this place in 2019, it was in a state that you're not allowed to enter because it was dangerous, because the ceiling was collapsing. I made an arrangement. I said, I will repair the place. I will not renovate it. And for me, the terms means renovating is often trying to bring back to a condition. The marks of 25 years of emptiness, when this craftsman who was highly skilled working with ceilings from churches started opening up the cracks, pushing more material inside in order to connect again with the underlying structure and flattening out. At some point, I told him, listen, I will not paint over this. The stars was really kind of his excitement of making imprint that this is an art piece. So a painter comes later and then would paint over and you never see anything. This is basically, for me, trying to record every chair. Every chair starts with a process of unmaking. Unmaking either because it has to be remade in order to be stable, or unmaking in order to take away ideologies, a collection of how was the state of the chair when I found it, where I found it, when I found it, in what condition was it in, and also what I've done with it.
This chair has the most fabric out of everything I've seen so far.
I think the shape is very beautiful, so I tried to create something as a contrast to these two perfect pillows. What I found were all the pants that my children kind of grow out from. I built a core with all kind of materials that I found.
These chairs popped out to me simply for their color.
They actually have two very different histories. The right one was a totally broken chair, where even the main structure was broken. All the red that you see is this epoxy that actually holds together. The left chair is actually a chair that was structurally totally sound, but I just hated its pretension of being a traditional chair by being just a mean industrial kind of produced. And I just wanted to change its appearance. What can I do with color? Everything comes from nothing. Everything is already existing. Since I'm not working as a designer, I make things. I see them as mock-ups. Some of them will just wait for a very long time and then I go over them again. I don't see anything finished here. For some of them, time is a year, and some of them maybe time is more than a year.